Hello, everyone. I welcome you to today's session. My name is Anuja, and today we are going to discuss the learnings from the latest sample paper of CLAT. So, yes, this is a big help for all the serious CLAT aspirants because it reaffirms our decisions, the decisions that we have been making so far. If I talk about the pattern, I did not see any major surprises because consortium had said that there could be 28 to 32 questions, and yes, there were 32 questions in the English section. I am going to talk only about the English section. For other sections, you will meet other teachers. Okay, so there were 32 questions. I am going to give a detailed analysis today. I will talk about where those passages were taken. There were six passages. Where were those taken from? What kind of questions we saw? And if you stay with me, there is a bonus for you. I'll tell you what the bonus is. I'll tell you later. Okay, so students, I feel that this was an easy kind of paper, a doable kind of paper, which is exactly how CLAT is. CLAT from the past 3 years, if we can see, is a very doable, easy paper. You just have to believe so that it's an easy paper, and definitely you will get to see. Okay, so today I am giving this analysis to you in the hope that you will be able to very rationally assess yourself, where you stand, how exactly do you feel about such passages, such questions. You can do a quick check, go on the internet, read a little from such sources, try to rationally assess yourself where your preparation is at this point of time. If you understand around 70-80%, I think you're quite safe. If you understand more than that, well, it's better than safe. But if you understand less than 70-80%, if you're only able to follow the language around 50% or so, then it simply means you have to work harder. And I am here to help. Just tell me what exactly do you need, and I will surely help you. Okay, so let's get started. We will talk first about the sources where these RCs were taken. All right, so first thing that we saw was this essay by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Annihilation of Caste. And I think when we talk in Indian context, anything by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, anything about caste system, it's very cultural, it's rooted in our system. So I was kind of expecting something like this. This is not a very big surprise to me. Okay, there was a text from a magazine, Fountain Ink magazine, and it is always suggested that a student should read newspapers. He should also read magazines. So they are just trying to reiterate the same point that keep your reading sources diverse. Do not depend on just one kind of material. So you should also read magazines. Okay. Now, it's not necessary that they have chosen one magazine and you should also read only from that magazine. You can read from any magazine, any decent magazine that you have at your disposal. Another one was from a Penguin publication. It was from Sadat Hassan Manto, and these are sketches and stories of partition. Now, again, in Indian history, partition is a very consequential event, and if they are giving you to read something about partition, it's very much on expected lines. Okay, moving on, we saw something from the American scholar. This piece, Solitude and Leadership, is my personal favorite. I really enjoyed how author explained solitude, related it with friendship. I hope you share the emotion too. There was something by my personal favorite, Bill Bryson. I really find his writing very humorous. I have read most of his books and they are absolutely delightful, enjoyable. But at the same time, you learn a lot if you read his books. So in this particular book, he's talking about human body, and he's writing if as if it's a guide for the occupants. For us, we get to understand our body better. So just Google about Bill Bryson, read a few articles written by him, and you will get an idea of whether you understand the difficulty level. Okay, Another one was from New York Times, and it is again a reminder, keep reading newspapers once in a while. You're obviously reading the Hindu, the Indian Express, but once in a while, it would be good for you if you read some international publications as well. For example, the New York Times, Washington Post, Atlantic, Guardian, anything that you can find on internet, but again, not unedited, reliable source. Okay, now these are the sources, but if I talk about the question stems, what kind of question stems were there? So we always expect theme questions. Yes, there were theme questions. We expect vocabulary questions. There were quite a few vocabulary questions, synonyms, antonyms, phrases. Okay, there were a couple of questions on grammar as well. There was singular, plural from the chapter of noun, noun, number. There were questions like that. And then there was spotting the error. So they gave you a sentence and they said, how do we correct this? Is there an error of verb? Is there an error of article? So, yes, they are expecting you to know the basics, asking such questions, inferential questions, but not very tricky ones. I did not feel the options are very tricky. Yes, direct questions were also there. So, pretty much on the expected lines. Yes, I know you are looking for an answer key, and I'm going to make a separate video where we will discuss and solve every single question of the sample paper. Till then, you keep your answer key ready and we will match ours. All right. But now it's time for that bonus that I promised. So I have told you the sources from the sample paper. Why not? Let's discuss what happened in 2020 and 2021. What kind of sources? So there was a text from one of Mr. Tharoor's book, Shashi Tharoor's book. It was a very interesting text. It was, I suppose, in it was an ALET actually. It was talking about how India has changed in so many decades. There was an excerpt from a Sherlock Holmes story. So they wanted to tell that we are not restricting ourselves only to non-fictional writing. It could be fictional as well. Okay. Editorials, of course, the Times of India. So these things were there. Hindu also they had, but there were also excerpt from a short story. Again, a short story by Kate Chopin, a novel, Case for the Defense. There was an excerpt from this and editorial from the Hindu. So a balance. You see, it's diversified. It's very hard to say what exactly will they pick this year, but they are keeping their chances open. Let's see some question stems from these papers. So such kind of questions, what will author most likely agree with? What will he disagree with? They are very expected questions and they generally focus on the fact if you understand what the author is saying. If you understand that, then basically you can do these things. You have to focus on his principal argument. Okay, words where synonyms, antonyms are given, they are always expected. Tone, main purpose, foreign phrases, very much expected. Going against the idea portrayed, which is identifying the theme, countering the theme. So one additional step, but basically it's about your summary making. Figures of speech, parts of speech, idioms, okay, and flow questions, relationship between the second paragraph and the final paragraph. These questions just expect how active you are. They want to check, are you just reading a text or are you able to see where it's heading, where it started from, where is it going? That kind of expectation. Okay, now, if I talk about the latest paper, again, I had the tone, the main idea. Okay. Now, they sometimes ask you to talk about a particular sentence. They do that. This time also they have done that. So they pick up a particular sentence. They say, explain the meaning, or they say, how does it relate to the rest of the passage, or why has the author chosen this particular sentence? So you have to pay attention to that. Again, synonyms based on words. Describing the attitude of the author is another way to ask the tone. And again, word meanings. So basically, It's vocabulary in context, it's the central idea, it's the tone of the passage, it is maybe highlighting a particular line or a word, it is some basic questions on inference, which is true, which is false, what will author agree with, what will he disagree with, and of course, detail oriented questions, which you have to find that time from the passage. Another thing that I would like to add, not all CLAT passages are long, because this year I saw in sample paper some passages were only 3 paragraphs long. So they were not the usual 500 word limit, they were much less than that. Okay, so expect anything that day. You could have very short RCs. For example, in ALET this year, there were RCs of hardly 4 lines. That could also be that, right? So some more question stems from the latest paper. Now see, these are the kind of questions where you have to go back to the passage, look for the relevant information. But some questions you can do on the basis of your knowledge, word knowledge. Okay, and these are like keyword identification questions. So if you know that they are talking about Rene Descartes, you have to go back to the passage, spot where Rene Descartes is, and then read around that. Those are the skills that are required. So improve your word power, do a lot of practice, be good at observing things, be where you are. When you're taking a passage, you shouldn't be distracted, or else you will lose some very easy marks. Okay, that's my summary of this latest sample paper. I feel very hopeful seeing the sample paper. I hope you also feel the same. I'll be seeing you soon again with a detailed question to question discussion. But till then, keep your answer key ready. Thank you so much for your patience today. I hope you learned something. See you again. Bye bye.